hops out the train and pulls out the window, trying to track down the door. But the area is unfamiliar, and he winds up completely turned around as he's scanning the streets for anything recognizable and suddenly has it. Anika sitting across the street in an outdoor cafe, laughing and smiling with another man. At first, Liam is frozen because his brain refuses to process what the hell he's seeing. Mika had told him she was taking Konami's first sword training today, and yet here Mika is having fun, so he wonders what the hell is going on. That evening, Lion got home from work and tries to relax himself on the way home. He makes it without hesitation, just the usual. Drops Konami off at sword practice, nothing special. Lion was ready to call her out, to say what he saw, but instead, he just nodded, pretending everything was fine. He didn't want to destroy his happy family life, so he told himself that happy was last finished. Maybe he was tired. Maybe his eyes were playing tricks on him because there's no way Mecca would betray him like that. The next day at work, he needed to clear his head, so he tried putting his computer into standby before heading out. But as always, the system glitched. So he shut it down completely and left for a walk. He found himself back in the same area where he'd spotted her yesterday. At first he felt a wave of relief because she wasn't there, but then he heard her voice nearby. She is on the phone laughing softly. She even brought Konami along, and then meets with the mysterious man. Lion tells himself the guy must be a friend, someone close, or someone Konami likes, until he hears his daughter call the man dad. That word hits harder than anything his boss ever threw at him. He stands still for a while, numb. Then he goes back to work like nothing happened, and keeps trying to build excuses in his head. Perhaps they're playing pretend. Perhaps this was just a very well friend who loved to play her father role when he wasn't around. But none of it made sense. Just then, his boss stormed over and started chewing him out for doing nothing. Liam calmly says his computer takes time to reboot since standby mode has been unstable, and for security reasons, he always shuts it down during breaks. The boss doesn't care and tells him he should skip his breaks altogether if he couldn't get his act together. But before he can even process that, his phone rings. It is Mika, and she tells him that Konami had been in a terrible accident. The doctor explained and asks why they need Mika and not him. So the doctor replies that Konami is also O negative, so Liam's blood isn't compatible. While they are inside, Liam sits back down, trying to stay calm. But something doesn't add up, so he pulls out his phone and starts typing it out. After a few minutes of reading, the answer hits him hard. An AB positive parent can't have an O negative child, and it's not just rare. It's biologically impossible, so there's no doubt that Konami isn't his daughter. Liam finally hits his breaking point, so he looks Mika dead in the eye and asks her straight up if Konami really his daughter or not. But instead of giving him an answer, Mika flips it on him like every woman. She starts yelling that she's the one who should be angry.
Like every
not
woman,
him.
bro.
Says he's never
Like
doesn't
every
give a
woman,
damn about
bro.
their family. Liam tries to explain that it's his job. He's always working overtime just to keep the lights on. But Mika isn't having it. She cuts him off, calls his job pointless, and says he's stuck in a dead-end position with no promotions or raises. So how could he ever give her the kind of life she deserves? Liam is stunned, but Mika's not done. She snaps that in the entire 10 years they've been married, she's basically raised Konami by herself. She completely
And that's when you
ignores the
scream
fact
at her that she doesn't deserve a life, period.
Says he's never really been part of this family anyway. Then, without a second thought, she says she's taking Konami and leaving. Liam asks where the hell she thinks she's going, but she brushes past him and calls out to Konami, telling her to pack up because they're leaving. He tries to stop her, but she moves away from him, so he grabs Konami's arm in desperation, begging her not to go. He shouts that he's done everything for Konami, that he's always tried his best. But then Konami speaks up, scaredly saying she prefers her other dad. And just like that, every last bit of hope inside Liam collapses. The next morning, Liam drives himself to his work, hollow and broken, but things somehow get worse.
Okay.
He's called into a meeting with his boss, who accuses him of stealing company money, and it's 15 million yen. He tries to explain, insists he didn't do it, but the logs show the transfer came from his account, using his work terminal, and the decision's already been made, and he's fired immediately. After that, Rita files for divorce. She even has the audacity to sue him for child support for a kid that isn't even his. And since he's still being investigated for the embezzlement, Liam agrees to pay it all back to avoid going to jail. He takes the first job he can find, and it's backbreaking labor on a construction site, the kind that they know long before their debts are ever cleared. From here on, Liam's life becomes a slow collapse. All he has left is the occasional message from Nida. His friend sends him a cheerful update about the latest development episode, and for a moment, Liam considers replying. He even starts typing something about watching it together as they used to. But then he stops and deletes the message because he doesn't want Nida to know just how far he's fallen. He tells himself to hang on to push through. Maybe just maybe things will turn around if he works hard enough. But while he's working hard and spits up blood. That's when he knows, whatever's coming next, it won't be better. At some night, Liam tries to get some rest. The damn bloody coughing has gotten worse, and there's no point thinking about seeing a doctor because he can't afford treatment anyway. So all he can do is lie there, curled up in bed, waiting to die. But right as the last of his strength begins to leave him, a strange light appears above his bed, and it starts showing him visions. In these visions, the truth unravels. It wasn't him who stole the 50 million yen, it was his boss. The same bastard who's been sleeping with Micah, every excuse she gave, every word about feeling unloved or neglected. The real person said to her, Liam was just a wallet. She was part of the setup from the start, working with his boss to send him to the government. Lion stares at the vision in disbelief, and his chest tightens, not from the sickness, but from the weight of betrayal. But then, a voice speaks to him, and a man appears out of the light and confirms that the vision is real. The man then asks Lion if he's really going to just sit there and let the people who ruined his life get away with it. Lion, completely drained and broken, clenches his fist. He's had enough, and at that moment, he swears that no matter what it takes, no matter what the might become, he'll make them pay. The man smiles, pleased by the sheer force of rage Liam is radiating, and says he's glad he showed up tonight, but he still hasn't said who he is. So Liam asks him who the hell are you, and why are you here? The man explains that he's just someone who took an interest in Liam because despite everything, Liam stayed a decent man. But Liam doesn't care about that anymore because living a decent life left him ruined. So if he had the chance to do it again, he'd put himself first for once in his life. And that's exactly what the man wants to hear. So he makes Liam an offer, a chance to start over in a new world, and all Liam has to do is pick one. Liam doesn't know if he's hallucinating or really dying. But if this is real, if he truly gets to choose, then he's going all in. He remembers Nida talking about other worlds before, one where Gundams exist. That sounds good enough, so he chooses that. The man nods, says the world Lion chose is a hybrid of magic and advanced technology. One ruled by nobles and royals, where status and power decide everything. One Liam might have ended up in a rich or fallen somewhere. But the man says he'll help a bit. He'll place him into the family of the count who governs an entire planet. Liam can barely believe it. For once, things might actually work out in his favor. Then with what little life he has left, Liam signs the Eskai contract. And just like that, his soul leaves his body and heads off to a brand new world. Then we see on planet Hydra that Liam's 5th birthday has finally arrived, and his mom has put together a special celebration just for him. As part of the surprise, she calls him over and activates a levitation spell.
Good job.
Liam floats up after her, following closely into the next room. When they arrive, he's greeted by a massive birthday cake and a gigantic gift box right beside it. He rushes over, unwraps the present excitedly, and finds a sleek metallic cube inside. His mom explains that it's the interface for customizing his very own AI maid. Using the cube, he can choose how she looks.
Very own
what
AI
personality she
maid.
has,
Wow.
And even pick out her specific features.
It's gonna get
like her
crazy.
ears,
I can
mouth,
tell.
and other parts that are conveniently censored. Liam, a bit confused, asks why she's giving something like this to a 5-year-old, but she simply says it's important and doesn't elaborate. That's when his father walks in, saying he's got a birthday gift of his own. And it's not just any gift, he's offering Liam the entire Banfield estate. Liam is floored. He can't believe his father is actually ready to hand over everything to a child. He asks if his father is truly serious about making him
I don't think your father loves
and his
you.
dad nods. There's
It's a
just
lot of
one small
responsibility,
catch.
bro.
In exchange for giving up the title, he and Liam's mother want to retire quietly in a villa and live out their
Yeah.
days stress-free. But to do that, they'll need a monthly allowance.
He's dumping his
So all Liam has to
responsibilities
do
on
is
you.
pay them.
You should
Title
turn
estates.
on
Blinded by
them.
the idea of gaining power, Liam doesn't question it. He doesn't ask why any sane adult would hand an
Man,
entire
I
local
wish
household
that-
over to a literal 5-year-old. So when his father pulls out a contract, Liam signs it immediately.
I
without
wish
reading
that
a
at some
single
point
word. After
this
it's signed,
dude,
his
like,
dad takes
because
the document,
technically,
says goodbye,
in their
and heads
eyes,
off with his wife to their villa.
his
Liam still
ex-wife
hasn't realized he's been completely
and
played.
what's
But
her
in his
name?
mind, none of that matters
They won.
because he's now officially a
In
cat.
their lives,
And he
they
fears
won.
to abuse that title to the fullest.
You can't
So
let that
no one
slide.
can ever walk all over him again. He figures none of this would have been possible without that man. So he's actually grateful for what he sees.
So
as a
his
fresh
next
start.
up objective.
Unfortunately for Liam, that mysterious man isn't exactly a benevolent spirit. In fact, he feeds off human misery. And after sending Liam off to his new life, he turns his attention back to her, to Mika and Liam's old father. The two are still out at a fancy restaurant, cracking up over the whole thing. Liam's boss jokes that maybe he went a little overboard ruining the guy's life, but Micah, she doesn't feel the slightest bit guilty. According to her, Liam deserved everything that happened for wasting a decade of her life. But then, out of nowhere, the police surround Liam's former boss and slap him with an arrest warrant. The man tries to play it off like some massive misunderstanding, but the officers have already reviewed the surveillance footage showing him framing Liam for the embezzlement. There's no wiggle room left, and he's going away for a long, long time. With her precious sponsor heading off to prison, Micah's little fairy tale collapses in seconds. No more free dinners, no more easy money, just cold, quiet misery. The guy, the being who orchestrated Liam's reincarnation, savors every drop of her downfall because it's exactly the kind of delicious karma he lives for. Now all that remains is to transport Liam's soul to his new life. But this isn't about redemption because the guy doesn't want Liam to thrive. He wants him to suffer more. The plan is to drop Liam into a harsher, crueler world where lifespans stretch for centuries and he'll have plenty of time to spiral into despair. And that's exactly what the guide wants because he feeds on misery after all. Over in that new world, on a distant planet, those tired crews suddenly blow up in fire. The pirate captain looks around and sees the first daughter of the whole kingdom and a walking nightmare for anyone who dares cross her people. As soon as she enters the fray, the tide of battle flips instantly. Her blade moves like lightning, and the pirates drop their guns.
See that? That was ruthless!
Today because they need to send a message that no one dares to touch Lee's territory and let's talk about it. Meanwhile, back in Liam's life, he finally receives his custom-made A, I made, and he's beyond hype.
Quote-unquote AI.
Underwhelming, basically a cube. But his butler assures him that all he has to do is touch it to activate the unit. As soon as he does, the box opens and a humanoid form lands gracefully on the floor. She introduces herself as Meiji, and the butler officially informs Liam that she'll be serving as his personal assistant from now on. She requires weekly maintenance, but aside from that, she's fully operational around the clock for anything Liam needs. But Liam isn't really paying attention to the technical rundown. He's already halfway around her, eyeing her design like a man expecting a luxury car. The butler cautiously asks what the hell she's doing, and Liam, without shame, admits he's just confirming whether the custom specifications he ordered were delivered or not. The butler is horrified and tries to remind Liam to act appropriately in front of others, but Liam just nods.
They added a new kind of right.
He calls into his room for a full, hands-on examination in private. And seeing that shit, the butler sighs in silent despair, deeply concerned about what this innocent young master is about to become. A few hours later, Liam is relaxing while Meiji gives him a shoulder massage. The butler steps in, asking what hell on earth they've been doing in here. Liam tells him not to stress. Sure, he looks like a little kid, but usually he's 36. The butler isn't impressed and tells him 36 still counts as a baby around him. That totally throws him off. So Meiji jumps in and explains that in this world, people live around 600 years. Most don't even get considered adults until they hit 100. Liam is stunned. He had no clue life forms were that insane here. But honestly, he's not mad about it. It just means more time to try everything this world has to offer. And if people keep about this side of the world, that'd be even better. But the butler gives him a heads up, and it's probably not smart to get too attached to Meiji. People in the Empire don't exactly love anyone. Liam didn't understand why I was so despised, so he asked the butler to explain. He told Liam that a long time ago,
was so despised.
People were enslaved, nearly erased. But in the end, a group of brave humans fought back and reclaimed their freedom. That group later formed the foundations of the empire, so it wasn't surprising that nobles still carried a deep grudge against anything artificial. But if that was all true, William didn't understand why his mother would give him an AI as a birthday gift. The butler hesitates at first, saying he's not supposed to talk about it, but when he's the count now. And orders the 3,000. The butler revealed that his parents had already abandoned him and fled. Ryan asked if they were young friends, and the butler explained that they left him in the entire day and his family.
Yeah, I knew it.
Turns out William's great-grandpa Alistair was a respected figure who
Thank you.
accomplished a lot and built up a
Mink, 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 mink. Oh my god, this stupid bro, how are you gonna sit there and camp? I hate passive players.
To your territories, and barely had any tax revenue left from industry. There was no feasible way to pay it all back.